Bernard, let me use this opportunity to celebrate all of us who are members of the illustrious group of chiefness around the world and also in Ghana. Bernard, yesterday we had a beautiful, beautiful ceremony organized by the British High Commission and the team at the Chiefning Secretariat. It was a beautiful event, and the team also used the opportunity to confer scholarship awards on the cohorts who are going for this year and next year's awards. And it was beautiful seeing people from the military, the doctors who came in, the academics who have all received awards to go and study for free in the United Kingdom. So let me use this opportunity to celebrate all the cohorts who are going. They used the Citi breakfast show as one of our seniors, Kweku Sechiado, used our show, the Citi Breakfast Show, how you handled it, how the team handles it, and our discussion about going outside.
Oh, serious?
Making it and coming back to contribute to the Republic in building it.
Amazing.
It was used to advise the cohorts who are leaving.
When you go, come back.
Charlie, when you go, make your mark and come back and contribute to the... And what one thing is said that stuck with me was that, look, there are people who are still going through the Sahara Desert today.
Seriously?
On foot, trying to make it. Some people don't make it. They go on the boats, the dinghies, and they die on the Mediterranean. So if you have the opportunity to sit in a plane, you didn't hustle with a visa. They give the thing to you, they give you a ticket, you fly there, they give you accommodation, they give you money, stipend to live your life. Just go there, be law-abiding, study hard, make it big time, and then come back and contribute your quota to building Ghana.
Wow.
So I believe that this is a message that will stick with them.
Wow.
And Bernard, let me...
So when you get the chance to go on scholarship, you go and come back and serve your country.
Your country.
You know, I know there are some people who got Chevening scholarships and they have refused to return.
Can you imagine?
They should repent,
Charlie,
and come back. Because when you are going, they ask you. And you know, for me, I had offers, but you know, I always remember they said, when you go, what will you do? I said, well, I'll come back and use my knowledge to help Ghana. So I can't just go and then decide that I've changed my mind. I won't come back.
And beyond that, Bernard, there's a breach of the contract you signed with.
That's my point. That's my point.
You go, the rule requires that you come back for at least 2 years and serve your country in a noticeable way.
Yes.
Right? So please, the ones who are going this year up until next year.
How many were going?
I've forgotten the number. It must have been around 20, if my memory serves me correctly.
Charlie, my year were 3. Charlie, somebody is asking, Bernard, please, the last guy should tell us where we can get application forms for the Chevening scholarship.
No, you don't need application forms. In fact, what you do is when they open the process, you go to the portal, right? When you Google a Chevening Ghana, right?
Yeah.
You'll see a link. So let me just do that demonstration quickly, Bernard, for the sake of those who...
Money will bring you an invoice.
Well,
you are giving back.
This is I'm
giving a
public.
But there's a lot of people from Citi who have Chevening scholars. So Paul Adomachi is the first Chevener I know. He was in I think early 2000. SOAS. Then I went to Warwick in 2008. 2008.
Yeah.
I think
Sami
Bartels go?
Yeah, Sami Bartels was there.
Went
he was
to
there
do law
yesterday.
Sami Bartels, who incidentally used to work here as well.
Yeah.
He's also a Chevening scholar. Ebenezer Mankwa, who also used to work here.
Yeah.
He is now at APSA, I think.
Yeah.
He's also a Chevening scholar. He went to Birmingham. I don't know where Sami Bartels went. And then Richard,
I'm trying to remember Sami Bartels' school.
I think it was Westminster or something.
Westminster, yeah. Because he did law. Because I remember when I visited the UK,
something.
he was there.
Yes. Then Richard Sky as well. You went to
Citi University of London.
Citi University of
the
London.
Best school in the UK.
You yourself know it's not true.
That's true.
You know.
Bernard, so what you do is just Google Chevening Scholarship 2023-2024, right? Then the portals will open, right? And you see an interface. One of the links, the first one you see is Chevening in Ghana, applications for 2023-2024 Chevening Scholarship.
Yeah.
They are now closed. That's what they will tell you. Now, applications for 2024-2025 scholarships will open in September 2023.
Let me explain. This scholarship is given to people who have shown leadership potential where they work. You should have worked for at least 2 or 3 years after school and shown leadership promise, and then also show strong potential to give back when you come into town after the scholarship. And then you should also study something which is relevant to Ghana's developmental needs. I think it's one of the most consistent scholarships in the world. In fact, I made some very good friends who are Chiviners, because when you go to the UK, they organize these events for you. The first time I went to Nottingham Trent Stadium was on a Chivening program. We went in a bus. I met some very nice people. Trent Bridge, that was the first time I saw the place as part of my Chivening experience. You went as a very serious law student who was studying, so you didn't have time to do a lot of
and then
activities.
also ours was affected by the COVID, so we were confined to our rooms.
Oh,
yeah, so a lot of the engagements we did, we had to do online. We didn't have any public.
but let me just say something, Nathan. If you think about the number of Ghanaians, elite, who have benefited from scholarships, so US Ford Foundation, they have this Fulbright scholarship. Commonwealth scholarship. I can say we are probably 100,000 from independence. A lot of people. The question is, are we using what we learned to help Ghana? You know, when you go to another country, for me, the most important lesson I get from another country is that many years ago, they were worse than me. All right? And now they are doing so well that they've been able to build a country that people are running away to. What are we doing now to create the kind of society they created? That's how I see it. Because you go to a class, there are 74 people in a class. We are from different countries. You studied at Legon. Yeah, your country is not a developed country, but you can match them boot for boot. All right? So in some cases, you're even better. But when you start looking at each individual country, in all those countries, there was a point where they moved from third world to first world, or they decided to change certain things to bring better outcomes for their citizens. And I'm saying that that's, for me, the most important lesson. So when you go to that country, don't just go and learn their accent and try and become like them and start looking down your country. You should have pride enough to say what others have done, which we can do.
That's true.
That's how, and all these people who have gone, people are going to Korea, Japan, China, US,
Australia,
Russia,
Canada,
Cuba. Australia, Canada, Cuba. If you put, let's go to the country.
France.
So Germany, Netherlands. So many people have gone to study. I know a lot of people who've done stuff in Netherlands. They have a very good social university there that deals in sociology or something. Even I think the Chief Justice went there.
Okay.
So, and then let's talk of Sweden.
You have Norway too.
So many, you know, and we've all gone and come back. Can we really see the impact of the place you went? For example, if you go to the UK, you know how to manage tiny spaces. It's a very congested country in my view. London is a packed city, yet it's very efficient. If somebody tells you to catch if you're going to, let's say you are going from Coventry or from Birmingham to London, and they say you should take the 6:15 or the 6:18, Nathan, I can bet my last dollar. You go to Birmingham, I forget the name of the Bull Ring. Nathan, 6:18, the train will be there. And these are hundreds of trains, and these are ordinary human beings like us. They've created a rail system. The first day I went on the underground. I mean, I've never been to the country. 2008, first time I went, my mates said to me, they said, you are from Accra. You speak that place when you go. So they actually mapped out what you should do. I've never been there. They just wrote on it. When you go, take this, do this, take this thing line, get down at Mayfair. Nathan, I went and everything was as they predicted.
Yeah.
I mean, and we are in Ghana speaking English. We can't even build our own rail. We've been talking about rail. We speak. We haven't even finished a friend day. Charlie, you go, people have not only done rail. Sky, when I was there, they had, when you're on the eastern part of London, they call it the DLR. Okay. Docklands Rails. Stratford. All those places have changed. Like when I went to Stratford last 2-3 years, 2019 or whatever, it's changed. When I was in the UK 2009.
Yeah, transformation has happened.
Charlie, where West Ham is now. And my point is, people have built this underground thing, and a city of millions of people is so efficiently managed. And then we sit in Accra, and we are not able, you can't even, simple, I don't know how to even start. You are moving from Adenta to town, crazy. So that's what I went to look at. How can you implement simple transport solution Here we are talking about MPP. They want to change power. NDC, they say are looking for running mates. Sometimes I ask myself, all these people, what are they coming to do? You know, we talk, politics, showdown, People are building real. I talked to some guys who went to Senegal recently. They said, in fact, they're telling me about Senegal and the roads. A demo. Did they go? They are building infrastructure. Côte d'Ivoire, they are building infrastructure. And we will argue about things, we will talk. Meanwhile, we have a whole bunch of elite who studied everywhere. And there's no developed country that Ghanaians have not lived or studied in. So when we go there, what do we come and do? When we come back and sit in parliament, how do we use that knowledge to develop Ghana? That's the question we should be asking. Me, I decided that I will not do radio the same way it's done before I left. Right? I'll come and not be focusing on unnecessary things. Use the platform to get to the bottom of matters, be rigorous. At least I'm trying to change something. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm the best, but my point is, if you go into engineering, if you go into law, if you go into medicine, if you go into media, if you go into urban renewal, Ghanaians have studied in the best universities. We are very book long. We are quick to let people know we are intelligent. Yet, we can't build a proper rail system. As a simple example, our transport system, even Tanzania have light rail. Tanzania have trams. Where do we have a tram? We don't have a tram. Think about it. You are driving from Adenta to Accra, you don't have a tram. How complicated is it to have a tram? Like, why? So it means that we don't know what we think we know. We are not as smart as we think. The fact that we've gone to learn and chop first doesn't mean we are smart. Smartness is not, say, make try exam, no. A smart person can apply what he learns to change his life. So if you can't apply what you learn and all you do is you go and be first. And Ghanaians are very intelligent. I can tell you that most of these Ghanaians, when they go on scholarship, they work hard and they'll be in the top 10%. On the chat. But in life, freedom is not say we chow. Go and apply the economics you learned and come and change your economy. That's what you do. So when you become governor or become minister of finance or whatever, you need to use that knowledge. Not to continue the same thing that made you poor in the first place. So please, this one, Sky has given me a gamma lizard.
But to ask the question so that you can address that, is it the system that is restrictive of creativity along the lines of what we went to learn? So that you left this country. Of course, you went to see how things are done differently. Then you come back. Then you suffer the saga of the returnee. Yes, Charlie, this thing is not done. This is how you do it. And they say, if you live in a culture where new learning, new knowledge, new ways of doing things is not generally appreciated, how do you cause change? I think it's an issue to address.
What I'm saying is there are two levels here. On an individual level, you and I have gone abroad, and I can see the difference in your life. Yeah. Everybody who looks at Richard Sky before he went to the UK, after he came, apart from the knowledge he even gained, the man is different. All right? So clearly, you've gone to learn something, and it's applied in the way you organize yourself. So the first level of this is individual, within your work. The people who work with me know that when I came back, it wasn't immediate, but you can see a difference in my approach to work. The way I organize myself, my leadership approach is different. But collectively, we are supposed to then have a critical mass of people who have been exposed to world-class things. So that if you go to parliament, I can say that if you take 275 parliamentarians, I can say at least half of them have schooled abroad at one time in their life or the other.
Likely, yeah.
Now, if half of your MPs have schooled abroad, now all abroad is not the same. So I'm not saying that means they should do everything Western. But you know standards, you know accountability, checks and balances. You know that you don't get away with certain things in the UK. You know that when you park at the wrong place, you will pay a fine. Why can't you on that committee insist that this has been done elsewhere, we should do the same?
And it works.
You get me? You are an MP for Adenta. How come you can't use that knowledge to apply it even in the way you see the assembly? That's my issue. Okay? There's a critical mass of Ghanaian elite. If you take our ministers, they've studied everywhere. You know, so it's a frustration that collectively we've not been able to harvest these lessons and apply them in our public governance. You're talking about accountability as an idea. People who mismanage money and embezzle money at the assembly level, we shouldn't tolerate that, but we are very tolerant of that. We're very tolerant of leaders insulting us and not being accountable. We're very tolerant of people with unexplained wealth. just emerging and making money. We are not critical and questioning of that. We are not. That's my issue. That's another. And then the chaos in our cities. Russia, Ukraine, US, UK, there's order. There's order. I was saying in a very jocular fashion, I drove to those Soweto areas and there was no straight line. That's not right. You cannot allow people to build anywhere in the name of... No, you need straight lines. That's right. All the countries you go to, there are some things that are so well organized. Even the way they paint buildings. Most of the... we think the UK is so capitalist. You can't just get up and buy any paint and just paint your house any color. No. Companies that build houses, there are specific colors they build. There's a building code. Here we don't adhere to it. I have my money. I went somewhere and came back. You build a house and paint it orange. And it's a 4-story building in a residential area where there are only 2-story buildings. And nobody can tell you what to do because you have enough money to pay an election, what do you call it? Assembly officer who is wearing Chaliwate. So because he doesn't have a car, you don't respect him. You get it? So we've created a system where people who have money can do anything they want. And we've not empowered our assemblies to enforce any law. So we are not able to develop because everybody who has gone abroad, who comes back, culture is more important than education. So your culture of Miwosika, Onfan Free Uncle, or I have, that mindset of who is the police, what can they do? Okay, so I think it's like the mindset of the people is stronger than the education they got. And the mindset is not accountability focused. Good governance is not linked in. We are not organized. You get it? And so those things, I don't know how to put it. Fine, you can say an education, properly so-called, should change that. A properly educated person in any school, whether in Ghana or abroad, should be organized. Should not be filthy. Yep. You should not tolerate Odo River. If you are well educated, you should not tolerate it. You get me? You should not tolerate the kind of things we sit inside our trot-trots. If you are well educated, you should not tolerate the kind of service you give people at hospitals. If you are properly educated, you can't have a boboya conveying bola and then distributing the bola across the city. You don't need Henry Cotton to tell you that this is wrong. But you are not well educated because even though you've gone to school and you've got a first class, you didn't learn what the education. So education is not going to school and passing and getting a first class. Education is going to school to change the way you live. By exposing to something better. So if you have people who are riding Aboboya in Accra and in Kumasi, they have to come and make it a national issue that they are banning Aboboyas, and people are calling for Aboboya to be allowed to go free. It means we are not educated. And education is not getting a degree. And education is getting knowledge that liberates you from changing the way you are behaving that is killing you. So my argument is that the school has not gone through us. Yep. And even locally with SSS and all that, we need to start inculcating values in our educational system. Students should be graded not on the basis of how quickly they pass exams, which is why this whole secondary school, they are passing WASI, is a travesty. Students should be trained to be organized, they should be disciplined, they should be patriotic, and they should be respectful. That's what a student should know. So when I was in Presec, when I go to town and my shirt is not tagged in, somebody say, you are disgracing your school. How can you walk without your shirt being tagged in? Today I see secondary school students walking without their shirt tagged in. Nobody even tells them anything. You cannot. There was a day I was even tagging in public. My headmaster said, no, a gentleman doesn't dress in public. You dress before you come out of your school. That's what they told us. Because we're only 400. Now there are how many? I don't know. So they can do anything they want and nobody's telling them anything. We are not educating our children well. And that's why, despite the high literacy rate, we can't develop. And you can't develop if people are not well educated. And education should not be politicized and saying this party is better. Education is too important. Collective. I've said too much for one morning. As if by design, that there's a story in the Daily Guide today. We are saying Civilian scholars should come back. So far, of the 4 of us, 3 of us are scholars. Sky and myself, Civilian, you are a scholar as well. You came back. There's a story in the Daily Guide I wanted to just read.
Yeah. So the story is by Eric Combat, reporting from Tamale. And it's titled, Lecturers on Government Scholarship Who Refuse to Return Should Be Punished. The story comes with a photograph of the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, the Honorable James Kluche Aveji. And it says, Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, James Kluche Aveji, has lamented the rate at which lecturers at the various tertiary institutions who benefit from government scholarships refuse to return to serve the country after their studies. The code says those few recalcitrant ones who refuse to come back and serve should be dealt with severely, because the intention of the program is for people to study and come back and impact the knowledge that they have gained, to our children. Impart. Now, the story goes on to say he indicated that the issue has become a great concern, and he's now urging the government to act with immediate effect. Now, speaking to journalists at the Public Accounts Committee sitting in Tamale, the chairman of the committee also talked about the increasing rate of lecturers at the tertiary institution who use fake certificates to gain employment into the system. There's a quote here that says this particular one affected Dr. Hila Liman Technical University, where the school paid for a lecturer to study abroad who came back with a certificate which turned out to be fake. A fake certificate. And this is a serious crime, he says, and then goes on to talk about EOCO's involvement and all of that. Now, Mr. Aveji advised the various tertiary institutions to be cautious and ensure that background checks are done before they accept certificates of persons who apply to lecture in their institutions. So basically...
how is Parliament talking about this? Is that they were auditing...
Yeah, the details of how come he's dealing with this are not clear, but it would seem that during the sitting of the committee, they were dealing with a report of the Auditor General, which report must have, touched on people receiving government scholarships to study outside the country, and having finished their courses, decided for one reason or the other not to return. And Bernard, that would seem to me to be a huge flaw in how the scholarship secretariat or the allied institutions that are supposed to manage this thing are managing it. Because ideally, when a person is giving a scholarship of that size, because Bernard, on average, if you're going to do a master's degree in the UK now, you should be spending around £18,000 or more, depending on the course you are reading. If you are going to study MBA, it's in excess of 25,000 pounds. But that is not that's just for the tuition. Then you have to pay for accommodation, and you have to pay for what? You have to pay stipend, which is about, say, depending on where you have, you may get around 1,500 US pounds, or around 2,000 pounds, depending on which scholarship you are going on. That takes care of your accommodation and then something to live on, and you buy your clothing and all of that to move around in the UK and do entertainment and all of that. So if the government pays this consistently for about what? A year or 9 months, you leave your post promising that you are going to study and return and impart your knowledge on how things are done here. With the greatest respect to you, please, no matter how watering or mouth-watering the offers are, come back and serve your country in one way or the other.
Very, very important.
It cannot be right that a responsible citizen will leave this country on the taxes of the taxpayer.
And decide that he'll go Otilo.
You go finish your course and you take up a job there. How does that help our country? I don't know. Look, when I went to the UK for my chevening thing, of course, so many offers came.
But you're a big man.
But, you should be chevening.
But let me even tell you what is even worse. Some don't even get offers to work in their field, though.
They just
Some just stay and look for a different job to do. So
like
they will even
training and...
Yeah, they will say, Charlie, I heard me doing the baby. I know will come back. So like you are even lucky they even give you a job in your field of study. So even they also stay, like maybe it's a lecturer and he gets a lecturer job. Some of them will lower the standard and go and do some care job.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean...
Care, care?
Bernard, what must be going through your mind to do that? First of all,
Ghana is hard.
It is lack of patriotism. Secondly, by that conduct, in my view, I'm tempted to argue that it's financial loss to the state, which you are causing willfully. Because at the time of the award of the scholarship that you have to come back and serve your country. Yet you go,
no, he's saying that
receive all our money.
When I go, I want to improve myself small, then I'll come.
No.
He wants to add work experience to the school. So that when it comes, you do better for Ghana.
Bernard, people have gone and they never came back. They raised families there.
Oh, yeah.
And they are almost grandpapas and grandmamas now. Yeah. Why should we encourage that?
But what about using a bonding system?
That's the point I was making, that in the chevening system, you sign a contract, which contract says that you have to come back to your country for at least 2 years. Before, if you have any plans to go and do something, you go and do it.
In that same country?
Say it again. You leave the country for 2 years.
Okay, so for that period, you can't go back to that specific country.
You can go back, but not to go and live there and work there. No.
Okay, that's okay.
You understand? So you have to come back to your country and contribute your quota to building your country. There's nobility in coming back, because you are sending a certain signal that, look, the knowledge that you have acquired, you have not acquired the opportunity, so you can go and seize the job of somebody who otherwise would have been given an opportunity in the UK to work there. You are not from there. Somebody gave you an opportunity to go and study. Government paid for your tuition there. Then you go there, then you have become a drago goliago. You don't do that. It's so wrong, better.
Let's read a few comments on this. This was really not what we're planning to talk about, but the chevening at 40. And if you don't know what a chevening scholarship is, so I think there's a gentleman called Lord Chevening, who is the sort of the name that was used to support this very popular scholarships, a global scholarship. People from all over the world, Canadians, Greeks, and Albanians, Russians, Ukrainians, Africans of all kinds, benefit from chevening scholarships. And myself and Richie Sky are proud cheveners. Yesterday they had a reception for chevening at 40, and Richie Sky is using the momentum of the program to urge Ghanaians. And don't ask me, come back and do what? You know, that question, you know, when we discussed the issue of people leaving to nursing, people leaving to work abroad, and my position was very like, go learn what you want to learn and come back and help, right? And I understand those who go and they don't want to come back immediately. But for scholarship beneficiaries who say that they are going to acquire a certain kind of knowledge, look, the Ghanaian civil service, initially, when they train you, they put you in there to implement what you learn directly. Nation building includes taking people out and bringing them back in. It's a very common way of learning, all right? So if you've been sent out by taxpayer or with taxpayer money to come and contribute to Ghana's development, please, you are not doing well if you decide not to come back. It's not fair to the country at all. And Lucky Mensa is asking you to come back. Here are some quick comments on the issue of scholarships. And if you are sending this as a scholarship beneficiary, mention the name of the scholarship you got and the school you studied. I just want to see something, all right? So if you're going to text us on the show on your views about how, and I think the main argument is, how do you implement your learnings when you return? And I said there are two levels of this. Level one is in my work. I went as a breakfast show host. I came back hosting a breakfast show. And I think you can see the difference. All right. I initially struggled on the show trying to do something which was not really amenable to my skill sets. Came back after a couple of experiments. We found a method that worked. So it's easier to now do the show. Of course, I did it for a long time before I mastered it. All right. Then I always tell people that the most important lesson I learned on the MBA was
how to work with people you don't like.
I keep saying it. Like, Sky, I did a 1-year course, and everything you do, you need to do a syndicate group. I was so angry. I said, why are you people doing this to me? They divide the class. We are 72.
You like loan. You like
I want to learn on my own. They said, no, 10 people. So they are single, and there was something they called a project. There was a project you were giving. They call it PCD. And you had a different committee for that. So there were 10 of us working on a project. And our project was a recycling project. A company in some part of the UK had a problem. And we were supposed to go and solve the problem for them. And we were supposed to be 10. Then there was another group where you work in a syndicate group to do every assignment. Charlie, Pakistan guy, India guy, Nigeria guy, British lady, American lady, Indian coffee seller, Indian coffee farmer, somebody from somewhere, I don't remember. Argument. It's like, what is this? You know, I don't want to do this. And they're always arguing. Everybody wants to show they know. Look, now I think one of my high points is learning to work with different teams of people. All right, working with Inshira and all these people who have come on, Nanama, and then we had who else came on the show? Have you forgotten? Kweku David. Look, I learned it there, and I didn't even know I was learning it because it was so I was so angry with that whole idea of having to do syndicate groups, you know. But that's just one learning, okay? There are other things I learned, of course, but my point is I found a way to apply it directly. Number two, there's also a critical mass issue where different people are exposed to their life there. So the point of being a Chevening scholar or going to study abroad is not to reminisce the life you live to live there. The network is also important. So I have a lot of friends now who, like I interviewed a guy last month. He works at the International Trade Center. He was in Sheffield. He was in the UK. All right. So the network is also important because you get to learn from other people. You get to connect. But I'm saying the most important part is that for every company, for every family, for every community, there will be people who are exposed to other ways of doing things. Now, I'm not saying that every other place is better than Ghana. But if you have the chance to compare two, you can say, well, in the UK, this is how they do their underground. In Tanzania, this is how they do their own. What can we take from there and add to ours? So the point is not to repudiate all you are and become a foreigner. That's not what I'm saying. But having seen a way of doing things, you can borrow some of those ideas and blend it. But we don't see that. You know, lecturers come back, still the same. People come back and work in politics, still the same. People come back, they don't change. They don't, like, the way some of these communities even treat women. Let me give an example. The way they even treat women, all right, and disabled people. If you go to the first guy who, I went to a bank, the first guy who served me was a person with disability. One of his hands was not working, but he was hardworking. When you go to the guy, and he was very, very proactive, you know, and he was at the front line of banking. Here, they say bank, you have to look nice or something. He didn't look that nice in terms of but he was working hard. The society, the way they treat children, the way they treat women, you know, and they are not even a very religious society, but they are very kind to disadvantaged people. We throw our disabled people away. Our special needs. Nathan, if you have a child with special needs in some of these countries, it's almost like because you have special needs, we treat you special. Here, if you have special needs, we'll go and put you in some bush. You need to learn that. You know, we are very callous to disadvantaged people. We don't treat children well. It's like children don't have a say. Women don't have a say. You know, and there it's not like that. I have a friend whose son is going to school with special needs. There were over 21 points of intervention given to the child by the school because he has special needs. Meanwhile, this guy is a genius. He has special needs. Wabon. And I'm saying when you travel and you learn such things, when you come back and you are meeting, you have to implement it in your society. You know, it's not about you earning more salary and doing well for yourself. That's not the point of privilege. Privilege is not meant to better you and your family members. So every time you pack all the people in your family into the scholarship, it's like some people, when they get post, all they think about is, hey, where is he from? Hey, is he from my hometown? Then let me. Why do you want to do that? So you want to put only your family members. It's like it shows that you are not deep. You are very shallow. Education is supposed to expose you to that. That he's my brother. When you travel abroad, Nathan, in my class I was only Ghanaian. That's where I understood what it means to be an African. Because I was the only Ghanaian. So I'm the ambassador for Ghana. There are 72 people. I'm the only person from Ghana. There were about 5 or 6 Nigerians, a couple of one Ugandan, and I think somebody from somewhere. There was another guy from Kenya, but I think he's even like Indian Kenyan. Relationships, pride, knowing your country, understanding where Ghana stands, all those things. So if you've not been trained to be patriotic and you go abroad and they are talking about their countries, you can only say negative. I say, no, Ghana, we are this, we are producing chocolate, this, you have to say something. You know, so it's a whole life experience. And I encourage people who get scholarships to know that they are ambassadors. A scholarship is not just for you to go and then go and harvest all your relatives, that they should all come and stay with you. That's not the point of a scholarship. So you go one, then you do papers for the other one to come do cleaning, do papers. No, that's not what we want. Go and become the difference. Let them see there's a better way. You know, that connection, life connection, Charlie connection, be a pie. You do connection, you become like a connection. You
always doing connection.
Somebody, you know, the friend of mine, they said he was in a taxi or something. And he heard an Uber driver speaking to somebody about after. Or say, Charlie Matisse from after, but now what connection? What connection? So, just a day, you know, the connection. That's not what the point of going to abroad is not connection. Matisse after, but what connection?
Let me read this one from Kenan Koo, a barrister at law. He says, I was on a GOG, Government of Ghana scholarship in 1996 to the University of London, the School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, to study MSc in Health Promotion Sciences.
Wow.
After my course of study, I had a job with the London Health Education Authority, but declined and returned to Ghana. Though I didn't practice health promotion sciences, some of the courses I took sharpened my communication skills, and my output is there for all to see when I returned. I lifted the face of government PR in Ghana, particularly through the Ministry of Roads and Highways.
Wow. So you see how learning is application. It's not necessarily learning the same thing. So those who are looking for scholarships, one of the things you need to do is to understand how to translate your learnings into your reality. So like this guy studied health promotion. So he didn't work in health.
Yeah.
But you can harvest the lesson.
That's right.
So it's very important to know how to harvest those lessons. Now, there are a few more comments.
Let me read this one before you go to the other main one. So this one said, Mr. Avila, the issue of lecturers not coming back is the bond system. There's a monetary bond in lieu of coming back. They choose to pay the bond, and Otilo, there should be only one condition: come back home and contribute. This one is coming in from Kojo.
Come back.
All right, a few more messages. This one says, we really wish to contribute to the development of our country, but our public infrastructure and service provision systems created are inefficient, and they don't allow us to do what we want to.
So who should come and do it for you?
Okay, that's coming
Musa.
from Musa.
You are a
He's
Commonwealth scholar. University of Sussex.
2021.
Somebody has worked and paid tax, and they use their tax money to give you a scholarship. You've gone to their country now. You are saying that hey, their systems are good, our systems are not good, so we can't come back.
That can be.
Who built that system?
That can
Charlie,
be.
this thing people are saying it's not true 100% to Musa.
That.
It's almost like, oh, in Ghana the infrastructure is not good, the service is not good.
So you can't come back and help.
Are you like? You see, this is my argument. You are not some random creature who can just choose where you want to live. You are Ghanaian.
You were born in Ghana.
So being born in Ghana,
So I should suffer.
no, has two meanings. Ghana has to give you some things, and you have to also give Ghana some things.
Yes.
So for him to
what
say,
country?
what I'm saying, the way he's saying is like, and I'm talking about scholarship earners.
Okay, then let me keep quiet.
He's saying that, oh, the infrastructure is not good. Dude, that's why we sent you there. You can't get that infrastructure is not
So
good.
you should come back and build the infrastructure here too.
You see, it's not as simple. But my point is, you are not supposed to get a scholarship and go abroad and say, I'll stay there because Ghana things are hard.
Yeah, that's true.
Yo,
Somebody must come.
You have to. You are privileged to get a scholarship. Do you know how many people apply for scholarships in Ghana? And then you tell them, they won't babio.
But for that scholarship, you wouldn't have made it to this
So
country.
you have to come back.
So when you
fair.
go, come back because people paid for that.
At least come and do 2 years. But don't go and then say the infrastructure is not good. No, that one, I don't agree with you.
Okay. Kwesi and Japan in Amasaman says, roads are well done and selling is done far away from the roads. Free flow of traffic in Dakar.
Dakar.
This one
Senegal.
says, two problems related to this issue: lack of meritocracy and unbelievable mediocrity.
Yeah.
Belefo.
Why we are still where we are. That's what Bernard was talking about.
Belefo.
Jones Adobon says, anytime we talk about transport systems elsewhere, I feel so bad. And I ask the question, what at all have we done wrong as a country? Okay. Is it the only type of governance we have chosen?
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
Okay. This one says, didn't you read a story when a chief was asking for his people to be released from prison unequivocally. Weren't you in the studio when Godfrey told you that? Then told you had a discussion that brought him back to Ghana, and that same conversation won't wash now. Plenty examples.
Oh, but he's washing, he's still here.
Says the system has been gamed to benefit the few at the top.
Yeah.
Now he says until another revolutionary leader comes in to tame the system for the benefit of all, this will be the result.
Well, okay, so a couple of comments there. So yes, a chief said something, but we have not endorsed what the chief said.
Not at all.
Sky roundly condemned it, and in fact, I hope the police don't listen to the chief. So that's point number one. Point number two, why? So Godfrey wanting to go and win convinced to come back. You should be commending me.
Yes. And celebrating Godfrey for his commitment to the project.
You see, the truth is that when you grow and become an old man, you realize that Ghana is the only place you are from. Yes. And then you realize that you were wrong in thinking that, well, me, the make me baby.
Paloski is becoming hard.
Oh, please. It's never been easy. It's never been easy.
No, it's never been easy.
It's never been easy.
No, you see, it's never been easy, but there's always been a pull. You see, Ghana has allure. I think it's one thing that it has on all its citizens. And my fear is the loss of that allure to its citizens who go. Okay. We miss things. But gradually, the things people are missing are, fear diane, Charlie, minya adwene ne nkwan bia.
Hey, that one day you miss it.
Minya kakobia.
Bro.
You understand?
Man was buying kinky and burning and eating. Kinky that I was despising in Accra.
But outside of that,
I don't know, man.
There's very little that adds to quality of life that people are looking at the moment. And that is where we need to push for change in those things. You see, which is where the point I made about you Bernard, you ask a lot of us.
To stay in
But
Ghana.
we've also reached the point where a lot of them are asking, what am I getting in exchange? You see, because it's not you tend to place a lot of responsibility on us. And as citizens, yes, we have significant responsibilities to the state. Unfortunately, we've grown a generation of passive citizens.
But now don't forget that today's discussion is on scholarship.
But I'm talking about scholarships.
Scholarship beneficiaries, dear, they don't have a case.
Bernard,
Bro,
They don't have
a case.
do you know why? I'm going to get controversial with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Even the manner that scholarships are awarded.
Which ones?
You see. Now, you see.
No.
Are you going to choose now?
Go on.
You are talking about government of Ghana scholarships.
Yes.
Because chevening and related scholarships, there's a clear
Oh, of
criteria
course.
and it's rigorous.
Unless you want,
When you
if
get it,
if
you
it
deserve
is
it.
chevening, I don't have I'll end my point. I don't have anything to say.
You are talking the Ghana ones.
But
I actually think you are right on the Ghana ones.
Yeah, the
See,
Ghana
Bernard
one.
makes a point about
the
scholarships.
Ghana ones.
You see, because he says if we send you on a scholarship, you must come back.
Like this lecturer.
Yes,
With Ghanaian money.
with Ghanaian money.
Because to be fair, right, if you get a chevening scholarship and you don't come back,
They can
technically it's not as bad as a Ghanaian because chevening scholarship is British taxpayer. So if, and I'm not saying people should stay,
bad.
I get you, but I'm just saying that it's worse for a Ghanaian scholarship because British scholarship is British taxpayers. So let's assume you go there, you are doing some very crazy science course and they need you to help work for them for a few years. You could say part of the benefit you give back to the British community is to work for them because maybe you are like some genius. But if Ghana government has sponsored you to go, now you for come.
Yes, but I was making a point, if you don't mind.
Finish.
The scholarship system,
Yes,
its reputation has been tainted.
brutally.
You see? So, people who get the scholarships are not, they don't hold,
It's not meritocracy.
yeah, they don't hold,
It's not dear to them.
it's not dear to them.
And they struggle to get it, they pay to get it and things.
Yeah,
So it's like, it's not, I get you. It's
you
not
are-
like the chevening where in like my year group, there were so many people applied and 3 of us got it. And then there was a small send-off and actually these are the 3 people who are going to make Ghana proud. Scholarship, now you have to pay somebody some connection, man. Then you go
So
up
you
and
so you
down.
invest so much
But then
money
you get a
in
thing,
getting
and
I have paid 70,000 Ghana cedis to get 100,000 cedi scholarship. And then you are saying I should come back.
I get you. I get you. So
It's very hard.
So Yeah, but Godfrey,
there are things you see. But the point I make is, I get you. We must come back, but we must also push for things to change in places where those things need to change. Those things cannot just change. But
let me ask you another question.
Okay.
Why should you pay to get a scholarship?
I don't know.
Because that's why because I have applied for the
evidence
scholarship.
of that.
Let us not even try and
Sky, you're asking if there's evidence.
Sky, there's a lot of
let
people
us not even try
who have contacted us to say that they will go to scholarship secretariat that they want a scholarship, and the frustration, people will help you if you pay. So there's a system. It's like the way the foreign affairs minister went to passport office. You may not have evidence of somebody actually paying, but it is generally believed that people are paying to get a scholarship.
The reason I'm pushing back is I know of frustrations properly articulated. So you don't know anybody. Your father is not a member of parliament. Your father is not the chairman for Utudupuri constituency. Your father is not the general secretary of a political party.
Who still get it?
Exactly. And then also there are people whose sons and daughters get it because they are a member of parliament, or they are a member of the judiciary, or they are this, they are that, they are that, they are that. Those are there. What I do not know, and which I have never heard, is that they have had to pay in order to secure a slot.
I think to qualify what Godfrey says, so there are two groups. There are people who are privileged. So if you're an MP's son, because of who your father is or a minister's son, they can manipulate for you to get it.
Which is wrong.
But if you are an ordinary Joe from somewhere, you don't have that privilege, so you pay. So that's one. Now, I was even going to say that if you pay to get that scholarship unfairly, are you not doing yourself a disservice? Do you get me? Because if we are to be idealistic, why should you pay a bribe to get a scholarship?
Yeah.
Where does that leave you in terms of your ability to? So it means
if
that
you can pay to get a scholarship,
no, you don't pay the full amount. If you pay 30,000 cedis for 100,000 cedi scholarship, it's still a big gap. So my point though is that you cannot be a change agent if you had to pay a bribe to get a scholarship, because your integrity is already not there. Do you get it? So does the educational system train us to say, well, let me suffer for my right? Do you get it? Like, does our training include the values that say, if I have to pay a bribe for this scholarship, I won't get it. I won't pay it. That's something we should ask ourselves, because if you don't expect people who have been beaten and battered by a system that have paid bribe to get a scholarship to come back and come and change the system, they won't come. And even if they come, they can't, because the system has humbled them. Do you get it? So the point Godfrey raises more complicated issues, that if a scholarship, which is supposed to be merit-based or need-based, is now based on how much you pay, you are corrupting a generation, because it's like paying for Apple.
That's true.
You can pass an exam, but you will never be a useful citizen, because if you pay to get 8-1s by paying for Apple, whatever you've passed, your software is damaged. You get it? So we should be very concerned when we hear stories about people having to pay to get a national scholarship. Okay. When you and I know that some of the scholarships that we went for, at least I didn't know anybody. I still remember my interview. The guy who interviewed me, I don't know if I can mention, he's a lawyer. One of the 3 guys who interviewed me. Very difficult question. He says, why do you want to go and do this course? And he says, because we don't usually give scholarship. And I said, well, my understanding of my industry is that if you do well in your industry, you get into management role. And to get management understanding, this was my 2008 wisdom. You need a well-rounded business education, accounting, management accounting, finance, HR, operations, so that I can be useful to my company. Because the media in Ghana is at a stage where we don't have a lot of good quality. So my argument was that the best people leave media, and I want to stay. So I can't come back and just come and run away. So I've been here since 2009. All right, and the guy is called Alex something. I think he will not mind me mentioning his name. He used to work at Akufo-Addo Alex something. Alex. He's a lawyer. Okay. Difficult interview panel. You know, and I managed to get a scholarship. So my point is that in the British system, they've created a meritocracy. All right? How come in Ghana, Scholarship Secretariat is accused of so much underhand dealings and there's not been a proper probe into it?
I'll tell you something.
Let me just stop. Because I asked for some evidence, some basis for the comments you are making. Because as I said, I've not heard of people paying. But there's
Alex
a comment
Quenu.
here.
Alex Quenu.
Okay, so there's a
Alex
comment
Quenu.
A lot
here.
of people pay for scholarship in this country, which is Sky.
Sky.
Please, my hand on my chest. I've never heard that.
Okay.
So let me read what someone said. Ken sent this one. It says, he says, Sky, I can say on authority that a close friend of mine paid 80,000 Ghana cedis for an undergraduate course in London right now. Yet to complete the course. I bet you, my brother.
80,000 cedis.
80,000 Ghana cedis. That's crazy.
Even to get access to the form sometimes, you don't know.
And you see, so I see, Chevening is an indictment on us.
Yeah.
Because it's telling us that for 40 years, there have been different high commissioners, different scholarship administrators.
Panels different.
Citi has had Paul, me, Eben, Bartels, you, and Samit, Nana Boachi.
Nana Boachi, yeah.
All go. I think Nana Boachi was Talo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Talo.
So if you add Talo, look, let's even add Talo, Philippe Achon. About 10 people.
Everybody went and returned
Yes. You see?
without a problem.
All of us have come back. All right. That also tells the caliber of people they were, but also the kind of system they put in place as British people. So you can condemn them, but look at the track record of their scholarships. Look at the kind of people who were there. Can Scholarship Secretariat in Ghana do a program and say 40 years of Scholarship Secretariat? Let's showcase our best scholars.
Yeah.
Would they come?
Out.
Let's put them to the test. So because I'm sure Fulbright can do this. Even US have systems they called US alumni. We didn't even go on education. I went for just like 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's right.
The US have a system where people have gone to study and come back. They can fill a whole assembly hall with their scholars. Now, Scholarship Secretariat should tell us.
Good morning, rookie.
They should tell us where their products are. They should take a full page in Daily Graphic and put their pictures there of their top 50 scholars. If what they are running there is something useful, they should come out and tell us. And you can look at the amount of money they've spent. You can go to Abedi, you tell you the amount of money we spent on Government of Ghana scholarship.
Yeah.
Where are the scholars?
I can say that the only, in terms of like the Government of Ghana scholarships, the only ones where you have a lot of people coming back are the ones that are ingrained in their courses, like the year abroad. So, for example, I went on one.
Good one.
So it's embedded in your course. So you can't do anything. You need to complete it, come back and finish here.
The course, okay.
You know. So
And Nathan, you know what is sad? You see, the future of a country depends on the quality of education its citizens
that's
get.
true. That's a fact.
So you cannot use a scholarship to favor your relatives, your party foot soldiers, and people who have no intention of coming back. That is a sin. The way they interviewed us on that evening thing, it was as if the money was their own money.
Rigorous.
And it was like, you have to, in my year, only 3 people got scholarship. Prince Akpese and a lady who got a Shell scholarship. I forget her name. She was my mate in Lagos. She did economics. And Prince, is called Kwame Akpese. I can mention his name there. He's a finance guy. He's back in Ghana. They interview you to a point where it's like, as you can cry, no audience, what's your problem? You write something, what's the point that you come, Why? Because they want a track record. And I'm saying that, so if you've been giving Government of Ghana Scholarship Secretariat to manage, let's, and you see, I'll say something, I'll say something which is a bit controversial, but it's related. When they were interviewing Bugri Nabu, he made some allegation that, the police, this person has 300, this person has 400. Now, that was not proved. Atachan was very smart and asking whether he believed it. I said he doesn't believe it. But my point is that, Sky, things like scholarship and recruitment into sensitive national positions. I have relatives who want to do media. I've done media since Legon. I haven't employed one relative. It's not because they are not good, though. No. You can't even work with me. I can recommend that you should go and talk to Kafri Day to interview you, or some George Wiafi. You understand? Right. But even that, I hardly do that. You know, we need to stop that thing where you think, okay, you think me I don't have relatives who want to work? No, don't you have relatives who want to work?
Sure.
Why would you want to convert Ghana Health Service or Ghana Police or Passport Office into why do you what that's the problem? Because when you begin to see it as a channel for packing people, so whether it's GMPC, Ghana Gas, Which other ones do they have?
Education Service.
Bank of Ghana. Ministry of
Civil
Education.
Service.
It is a cardinal. I think we need to be very aggressive and ruthless with that thing.
Nepotism. And
Where
religious.
they bring a list. You are MP for Adwejiri. Into Ubeji 10.
Scholarship.
Human being. You see, a country that wants to develop, a country that is serious, or a leader who is serious about the institution he runs will never do that. Not that my relatives are not good people, though. I cannot go and be packing. It's not my family business.
But that is what we do.
That is why we are not doing well.
And so that is why this call for people to return is always a hard one. You see, because it becomes a matter of who is well placed to do what. You recall, but just by the by. So yesterday I learned that for you mentioned this one. His constituency has 3 astroturfs. How he got it, I don't know. 3 state-funded astroturfs. I was complaining to you that I have 0 in my constituency. From where there are 80 football teams. I don't know how many football teams he has there who compete well. But it becomes a matter of who can push for what. Okay? So it's influence. Who can move things. In the end, in my area, if you come and tell me, Godfred, that, you need to do A, B, C, D. I tell you, what have you done for me? You understand? I'm struggling here. So you cannot make certain calls on me. And I think for me, that is just the point I wanted to make to you in this call for. We want to come back. And today I'm speaking for those who are out there because I've been there. Okay, we really want to come back. But the truth of the matter is, the state of the country is making it extremely difficult to feel that when you come back, you can even be useful. You see, there is nothing more painful than having a skill you cannot use.
Godfred, one of the reasons why you can't come back, you see, let me put it this way. Those who don't want to come back should know that they are also victims. You are a victim of a society that doesn't want you to come back. So your mindset is what will determine what you do.
Wow.
You see, because people have created, it's like politics. It's like, let's make the game so dirty that
only a certain people will.
Do you get me? So for me, when a friend of mine tells me I want to go into politics, and he's thought about it and counted the cost, I encourage them to go. Do you get me? Because they are doing what I can do, and they are going to take a reputational hit that I can't take. So I won't be foolish enough to say, don't go into politics. No, I will say we need more of you in politics so that when we are trying to speak truth to power, I can speak to you. Do you get it? Now, it's the same. So, like, you go and study at Harvard, MFC, whatever, you have a doctor, then you want to come back to Kolebu, and they are frustrating you. If you allow them to frustrate you, they've won. Because they don't want you to come back because you come and intimidate them. People always abhor what they are not or what they can't get.
Okay.
So that's point number one. Point number 2, your mindset about coming back is also important. Are you coming back to come and say, hey, that's not why you're supposed to come back? Or are you coming back and say, your coming back should be, I am coming to improve
what is already there.
That should be your mindset. And if that mindset, the persecution of frustration of 2 years applying, not getting in, you can endure it. Do you get me? So I am saying that your mindset is the main thing, the most important. Look, when I'm interviewing people now for jobs, I'm interested in what you've learned too. A guy came to me last 3 weeks. HR said I should talk to a guy. He said he wants to do journalism. I won't mention his name. So HR says, Aloski, check him out. So I spoke to the guy. He's studying some university in Ghana. Good university. Speaks well. Why do you want to be a journalist? Charlie, I was so sad. He said, what did he say? He said that he wants to be an influencer on social media. And
being honest with you.
I'm coming on. And that journalism is a good platform for which, when he does it for a few years, he will get the following, then he can start being an influencer on social media.
I love that guy, my guy.
So
he's honest with you.
I punished him for his honesty that day. And I have to confess. I said,
very correct guy.
You see, because I guard journalism jealously.
Yeah.
So I said,
you're an influencer.
No, but I don't, how many times do I do it? and I didn't enter this job because of
the way you even understand the word influencer.
I asked him to explain. And he said, yeah. So like if you go on Twitter, social media, he can... No, he was very careful to explain the thing to me. And I said, hey, tell me more.
Listen to me.
And he kept talking. HR asked me, I said, this party will hold it.
Oh,
He can go and work somewhere else. Because
he told you the truth.
yes, and the truth set me free.
And denied him of a job.
Why should I? You see, his mindset for the work is wrong. And my
Man
job,
wants to be
he's
famous.
22 years old. I can't change his mindset. He's already told himself that he wants to. I don't have that time. Because I meet people who have not studied journalism, who come to me and say, I want to work in media because I have passion to report or whatever. Okay, and this guy hasn't even written any articles. So let's assume he had even written articles and he had a blog and then he wanted to do journalism as a stepping stone to influencer. He hasn't invested anything in his so-called interest in journalism. All he wants to do is to become an influencer. Some of the biggest problems in Ghana are caused by influencers.
That's true.
said, bro.
So-called influencers.
So me, I say, I stop you. I stop him. What I'm saying is that your mindset for wanting to come into a space is very important because it will determine what you do when you are in the job.
Exactly.
So if you say you want to come back to Ghana, fine, but know that it's not going to be easy. There are people who will earn more money than you.
Yep. Change.
There are people who will look down on you and say, Charlie, this decision you took was a free decision. But you see, your decision should be aligned to your purpose and it should be like you should love what you do and do it. We are not like Sky. Life is not about how much money I'm earning so that they will say, oh, we all finished in 98. This guy is earning 1 million. You are earning 200,000. He's better than you. That's not how life is. Life is about fulfilling the purpose that you've been given. So, and I'm saying that your country is part of your assignment. So yes, all of us cannot be president. All of us cannot be politicians. But there should always be a place in your heart for Ghana. That I want to contribute my quota here. If you don't have that, then it means that we didn't train you well. Because in the 15, 20 years that you were trained before you left, we should put enough of Ghana in you for you to feel a need to come back. So your refusal to come back is also our fault. We didn't train you properly. Or you didn't assimilate what we were trying to train you well. These are very important points. Nathan, please help me with more comments.
A lot of interesting comments. Let's go through. This one, okay, I've gone through the chief one already. This one says, I can understand how Bernard feels about the seemingly uninfluential returnees, particularly that we are unable to replicate a lot of the good things out there when return. In my case, I saved and sponsored my studies outside and elected to return to support the building of Ghana.
Thank you.
Having returned, whenever I insisted on the right things to be done, I was usually reminded that this is Ghana. I'm usually told with the way I behave, I will not fit in. I'm still trying.
Find better friends. People who tell you this is Ghana are not good friends. Change your friends. There are some friends who will tell you that this is the way to go.
All right. Scatter says it's not about the individual. The system has been built to fail. The people leading the system who can cause change to happen don't know what to do and will not allow you to do it either. It says you're on radio, so you have a platform. But some of us don't have such. You go out and come back and you're always angry about what's going on. Because as an individual, you talk and you can't do anything.
Scatter. There's a man, there was a man wiser than me who said, be the change you want to see in society. That's hard.
Radio is my platform, but you also have a platform. Scatter, I'm telling you, it will shock you. Teaching. There's a guy who came on this show. I interviewed him last 3 months. Went to Legon, went to study abroad at MIT or Harvard. Do you know what he's doing?
The guy who's getting people to teach.
Sky, the guy has created a system where people who go to all the top universities in the world apply to go and spend 2 or 3 years in the village. And the applications are oversubscribed. There are people who have studied abroad who want to. So in fact, that guy is a good example of how to do it. So this is what he does. We interviewed him on this show. You've gone to Harvard, you've gone to Ashesi, Legon. You've studied something. Sometimes the problem of transmitting your knowledge is because of the context. So he has this 2-year fellowship program where he will send you to say, where's your hometown? Adafianu.
Or Seva.
He will send you to Adafianu to go and teach in a school that is disadvantaged. You are one of maybe only 8 teachers. GS doesn't pay you, he's paying you, and you're working with the head teacher. And in 2-3 years, you must show leadership potential to change. I interviewed one of his guys. Now, if you go and do that, so that's the other thing about assimilation. If you go to work in the city, you go to LSE to go and do economics, and you do an internship in the city, and you come and work at Kukrentumi Rural Bank, you can't be a change agent. It's too rapid. So this guy's program is like a bridge. So go to Basco for 2 years and teach. You see, if you are serious about yourself as a change agent, you must prepare yourself for the change. You can't just say, I went to study Harvard, I came to Ghana, nobody's going to listen to me. If you go on this guy's program, and these guys are 19 to 25-year-old guys, he says in the school, a lot of the girls weren't coming to school, he found a solution. If you do that 2-year program in Adafianu, if later on we post you to work somewhere else, you can be a change agent because you understand how to work in the local community. So the returnees should not think that it's just a question of coming to apply your knowledge. You must contextualize yourself. All right? And I forget the name of the program. If Caleb can find it for me.
Well, I have the Vafiam, which is almost consistent to what you're talking about.
Talk about it. What is it?
I think I spoke about it. So basically, I mean, what happens is we get people who know their stuff, right? A person like Nathan, like Godfred, you, Bernard. So we noticed that a particular school doesn't have teachers for the next 3 months or so, or the next 2 weeks, because the teacher is bereaved, or the teacher is traveling, or something has happened. So there's no teacher there at all. So what we do is get people like Godfred, yourself, and blah blah. Once you have 2 weeks or so to spend, we take you to this particular community or this school to go and offer your services there. So maybe because of your understanding of economics, maybe there is something about maths or something about, say, maybe it's a business school.
So this is for secondary school?
Yeah, no, it's for all levels.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe it's what do you call social studies. Maybe you are into diplomacy, governance, and all of that. Godfred, what is he into?
Same thing.
Yeah, that's right. So you go into that space, occupy the space, teach the students for the 2 weeks that the teacher will be away.
Wow.
And at
your own expense.
That's
so you are helping people to go back and give.
Exactly, give back to society.
And these are schools in your community.
Yeah, that's right.
Low income schools, public schools.
Yeah, it's a way of responding to the problems that we continue to see.
But you've never invited me on Vafia.
I'll take you on one of these days.
I used to be a teacher.
I know. You mean teacher?
Teaching is wonderful. I always say that.
They used to call me Sir Bernardo. And I used to even teach classes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
At the class 3, class 4, class 5. And some of the kids told their parents that Sir Bernard is good. So and they get, if I was level 100, I was still doing classes.
Oh, I see. That's beautiful.
I was
teaching. It's one of the most.
When I take the chalk and I remove,
you fold your this
one of the most interesting.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, I mean, when I also finished my.
Some of my students are doctors now.
Oh, that's beautiful. Sir Bernard. When I finished, Freetown, I came to Accra to do my OIC thing. I went back to teach at the Freetown Secondary School for a while.
What subject? Visual arts?
No, this was in general knowledge and arts.
Pottery.
I was very rough.
No.
Yeah.
Teaching is wonderful. So I say that's what I want to do.
So
later.
What I'm trying to say about the returnees is that there are programs which allow you to get the context. So this is the thing. If you want to change the way people behave, you have to understand what is motivating the way they behave. I wish I had an example. Yes, the guy said they went to a school in a village for his 2-year program, and they realized that the school was smelling because apparently bats were
they
defecating on the school. Some funny thing like that. And he and the students and the teachers came up with a solution to solve it.
Wow.
Because when he went there, initially people didn't understand why the people could live in such an environment. So sometimes to be a change agent, you have to go into the context you want to change. So the frustration of saying, I've come back from America, nobody's listening to me, is only partially true. If you are serious about change, you will prepare yourself in a way that allows you to understand what you are trying to change. I can't change morning radio if I don't understand it.
Yep.
And I can't tell Samens that employ me to host your morning show. I'm coming to change it. No, he needs to see me working it. You see, that's the problem. Like, okay, I've gone to the UK. I've learned some course. Employ me at NITA, so I come implement it. Why should I employ you at NITA? There are people at NITA who have been waiting for promotion. So I'm not going to employ you at NITA. Start your own company and do it for 3 years and let's see or prove the concept. Or go and work in a different place and show you. But this is the other thing. It's entitlement. So it's like, do you get me? Okay, if I go to a morning show in another company and say, I can change your morning show, they'll believe me because I've done it on Citi. Yes. But I can't say I've come from UK. So employ me to change your morning show. Why should I employ you to change? Why? Who do you think you are? Do you get it? So the fact that, and I may have superior knowledge. I may have done an internship at the BBC. But the fact I've done an internship at the BBC does not mean that if I put you on a Asempa, you can change it, because it's not the same. So we, the returnees, should also understand that we need to bide our time and we need to be more humble. Change is not always confrontation. Okay, here. How many times have I fought with people here? But I can change things. So, like a lot of people think that this militant Maba, this is how we do it. When you listen to people like Alabi and he's telling about how he changed, it's not like that too. Some of the greatest change agents in companies, they don't even go on air. Some of the most influential people in politics, even in parliament, there are some MPs who don't talk, but they are very powerful. Because you see, if you are serious about change, you will do everything possible to be successful. A lot of people who come on air and want to shout about change don't even understand what change is. I'm telling you, some of the most effective change agents that I know in organizations, we don't know them. They've realized that in Ghana, people don't like to know people. In Ghana, so they stay behind the scenes. They are very intelligent. They can cause a lot of change, but you hardly hear them speak. That's emotional intelligence. So the fact that you've gone to learn astrophysics at Princeton does not mean you can bring that change here if you don't have the emotional intelligence to know how to work in the Ghanaian context. So it's a very important point to for those of you who are saying you don't want to come back. Trust me, if you get the right friends and the right networks, and you humble yourself to understand your context, you will do so much more.
So let's read a few more messages. This one says, "You're right, Bernard. Our problem is the virtual breakdown of our values, our inordinate indiscipline, and moral decadence. We have compromised our values, obtuse partisanship, and downright dishonesty." I think Die from Kofredia saying that. This one says the people do come back after studying, but the question is, does the system and the people who are leading allow those who have returned to implement what they went to acquire? You remember when the Greater Accra Regional Minister said people were sabotaging him? Today, you read a story about a chief spokesman who asking for the release of someone in police custody. That's Gloria Lati and Asin Fosu. This one says the difference between us and countries we compare ourselves to is patriotism and a national identity. We have neither. Somebody says Cote d'Ivoire is building underground train in Abidjan. All right. This one says one of the problems we have in this country is over-reliance on government funding and financing everything. We know for a fact that governments are generally inefficient in applying resources. The gap in development is the opportunity waiting to be exploited. It says mentally we are defeated by the corruption, struggle, and cost of raising funding to do developmental projects, a lack of discipline, accountability, and consequences. The difference between the developed world and developing world is discipline. Kwekuba in Tema says, Bernard, I'll visit you to tell you of the challenges I faced of the system we operate. The issue is not the personnel, it's about the system and the over-politicization. This one says, even money vans now have police lights and sirens. Everybody does what they want in Ghana. Richard from Kole Mamprochok. All right, this one says...
Kole what?
Kole Mamprochok. So I think it's an intersection of Kolegon or Mamprobi and Choco.
Oh, I like that. Kole Mamprochok.
They meet in the middle. This one says a Ghanaian scholarship took care of me during my uni days here in Ghana, but they didn't have any structure put in place to accommodate me for national service. On the alumni page of the scholarship scheme, almost 80% of those there are jobless. So the question is, does the scholarship secretariat have a structure to contain them when they return to this country? It says, I'm working as an online driver with my knowledge. John, the young good driver.
I like that.
Richard, this one is for you. This one says, my colleague paid 100,000 cedis to someone at the scholarship secretariat to get a scholarship to the UK. This was just last year.
You see,
Sky, don't you think OSP should be visiting scholarships?
Yeah, they have to. You know, why it is actually very curious and alarming for me is that if you can pay 100,000,
I'll come and tell you.
But OSP can use mystery shopping. Just get somebody in OSP to apply for a scholarship and let them follow through the process and then let them ask them to pay. Then you should arrest the officer who asked them to pay. And then he will have to... It's very simple. You should catch everybody there.
Yeah, but if you can pay 100,000 Ghana cedis to get a scholarship. I mean, just
But
pay to the school.
100,000 is just $9,000.
$9,000.
Bro. Sometimes
The school fees is 40 to 50,000.
$9,000. It be more. 100,000 is not that much money now. It was a lot of money.
That's
when
how
you were
value
proud.
that.
It's not, before you went to school, it was a lot, but now it's not a lot. The dollar was 4.
Let me give you
12.
one from somebody you know. And it says that I get Bernard's point and I really appreciate the perspective. But I think he really understands how the systemic problems can be impediments to coming and staying. Take my experience. I came home because I wanted to feel useful. Could have stayed and worked literally anywhere. Most of my public work in Ghana has been about health system accountability, for which media focus and framing is critical. That's a systemic question. How is my expertise typically sought by most media organizations outside of you guys and a few? Not as an objective voice for the point of learning, but as a counterpoint to government narrative or for sound bites with almost zero editorial on what the actual facts are. Okay? One network once had Professor Wandare and I on to discuss vaccines. And the third panelist was a random social media person who was there to talk pandemic because she had watched a movie. Again, all three opinions were treated equally. So imagine how frustrating most of the pandemic was when it seemed like the system itself lacked any serious self-regard. You know, the person is very upset.
Yeah, but my point is that, okay, so fine. The journalist doesn't have the sense to differentiate between the three, but you're on the platform. Use the platform to show your superior knowledge. I'm trying to say that people have agency. People can make more difference than they think.
Yes.
So a journalist decides to trivialize your wisdom by pairing you with somebody who's not up to your task. But you still have 10 minutes to speak.
No, you see, but it's not that simple.
Oh, please.
It's not that simple. The journalist's job is not to have that person on the show.
But that's just one problem. So the fact that problem is
No,
there,
but
there's nobody who faces an ideal. My challenge is that you've been trained to use your knowledge to bring change.
But I'll tell you something. So, for instance,
Yeah.
me, when I get called to speak on specific, like, I rarely speak on things outside of here. I rarely share an opinion on things anywhere. You know why? Because most of the time, the producer who has called you is calling you because he thinks that you will say this in a certain direction. Or that it's not basically just about, what can we learn?
He's trying to achieve balance.
No.
He's
Most of the time,
trying to.
most of the time it's not about balance.
Stoke setting flames.
It's just about
or-
stoking fires.
Whatever. My point is that that's not enough reason to say. I'm not downplaying the frustration. Do you know how frustrated I am in life?
Yes.
Yeah,
I have a sense of it.
But like,
we all are.
Like, it's a very frustrating. But the truth is that there is still space in the frustration to make a difference. Read this message, Bernard. I had the privilege of being awarded a Taolo scholarship, which led me to Coventry University, where I pursued my LLM degree in 2015. Remarkably, I was not the sole lawyer in my cohort, but also the only Ghanaian student. Sorry, I was not only the sole lawyer in my cohort, but also the only Ghanaian student. That's what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
In my class, my specialization was LLM, International Business Law. Upon my return to Ghana, I dedicated my acquired knowledge to assist in crucial areas. I provided valuable contributions to the Attorney General's office, particularly in the domain of intellectual property. Additionally, I volunteered as a pro bono lawyer for Gamro and Musica for an impressive span of 7 years.
That's beautiful.
During this time, I had the honor of being recruited by a former colleague and TA, Kofi Abuchi. That's Papako. So yeah, people are doing things. Look, the problem is not being downplayed in the way I'm going. What I'm saying is that if you are determined to bring change, you are the tool for change. You prepare yourself. And preparation is beyond education.